Now, hello, dear students. This is last video ongoing chapter number 11, part 2 modernization, class 11, history. In previous 9 video, we have discussed what about the way adopt, especially in the Japan and especially in the China. There are both the countries are different location. There are, because China is a mainland country, is the continental country, where Japan, when we talking Japan, is the island country. But after the World War II, both the time 1950, 1945 to 1915, both the countries are the same equal level, but then they choose the new technology, they invest in their human resources, and the making in the today's has considered the developed country. Okay. So what is the main point to consider to achieve their modernization? We have discussed separately. First we have discussed Japan, then second we have discussed China. There are the tricky point. Okay. First, Japan was the successful to the retaining its independence. He gained his independence, use the traditional skills. उसने अपनी traditional skills को use किया बेटा, and the practices in the new ways, उसको नए ways में use किया. Generate in the aggressive nationalism. They adopt the nationalism, but the way that they aggressive and sustain the representative and establish the colonial empires. Modernized is in the environmental dominate by the Western imperial's power also, and while it's the limited them to the also the attempt to the find its own the solutions. Use the traditional in the new different ways. Now the Meiji school system models on the European and American practices introduced the new subject, but the curriculum's main object was to make loyal citizens. Next, a course on the morals that stress the loyalty on the emperors was the compulsory, and change in the families on the daily life shown how the foreign and the indigenous ideas were the brought the together and the create the something the new. Now we discuss some points related to the China. China, the experience with foreign imperialism, both the Western and the Japanese Yang dynasty ruled the China. Breakdowns to the political and the social orders, leading to emphasize the mercy of the most of the peoples. War, lordism badly, and the civil war, natural disasters also the faced by the China. The CCP and the supporters fought on the foot in the end of the tradition also, in the while the civil wars in the broke out in the Chinas, and the while the calling for the powers to the peoples, it built the highly centralized the states. The communist parties moved the centuries old the inequalities, separate, spread educations and the raise constructions among the peoples also. But the repressive political systems tuned to the ideas of liberalizations and the equality into the slogans of manipulate of the peoples. The party has now carried out the market reform and has been the successful in making the China economically powerful, but the political system continues to be the tightly controlled. And this time we have discussed both the way, the path of modernization, the adopt by especially in the Japan, especially in the China. Now we move on the quickly summary of this chapter. Now after the Second World War in 1945, Japan is the store has a re-emerged country. Now, quickly comparison both the countries. Now again, we have earlier discussed, but now the China continental country है एक बेटा, एक महाद्वीपीय country है, ठीक है. Compared to the Japan, Japan is the group of island, and there is the 4 major island: Honshu, Kyushu, Shikoku, and Hokkaido. There are the 3 major river system in the China: Yellow River, Yangtze River, and the Pearl River. But in the Japan there is no river. Major languages: Chinese and Cantonese in the speaking by the Chinese, but in the Japan the major Chinese language is Japanese language. So thank you for this video, and this is the chapter is complete. Thank you.